During the late 1800s and early 1900s, millions of immigrants from all over the world came to America. Between 1870 and 1900, nearly 12 million immigrants came to America. Most of them were German and Irish. In fact, before the Civil War, 1/4 of the whole entire population of Ireland came to America. That's 1.7 million people. Back then, America didn't have really strict immigration rules, and a lot of people wanted to come to America. Immigrants would come to many ports. The most famous was in New York. In 1892, a new immigration processing center was opened on Ellis Island, which is in New York. Immigrants arrived in cramped steamships, and if you were poor, you had it extra rough. The trip was $30 and took 10 days. When you arrived, you would be processed and would see a doctor.
Hi. Do you have any tuberculosis?
Yeah.
Alright, you need to leave.
No.
You need to get out of here. You need to go! No!
He would ask you some questions, then you would be in America. Unless your paperwork from your country didn't check out, so then you would be sent back from where you came.
This paperwork doesn't match up.
I think it's fine.
No, I think you need to leave. No, you need to get out.
No, I can't go back! I can't go back! A lot of Americans didn't like the immigration for job competitions. Immigrants were considered as cheap labor. This caused really bad things to happen, one of them being the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882. This said that the Chinese couldn't enter the country at all. It was extended in 1892, and then in 1902, they made it permanent until 1943 when they finally repealed it. That's 61 years. One of the reasons the act was done because people mainly in the West were mad because Chinese worked so hard and were very cheap, so everybody was hiring them. Another reason Americans didn't like immigrants is because they were poor and lived in slums which were full of disease and crime. So, since the crime raised, they needed more officers, which cost more money to the taxpayers. The immigrants lived in slums that were packed with filth and crime. Many people were homeless, and many children lived on the streets. America didn't like immigrants so much, they took it to extreme levels. They made hate groups dedicated to terrorizing immigrants. These groups were everywhere. One of them was the KKK, and although they terrorized mostly blacks, they were also anti-Semite. Another group was the Know Nothing Party. They were anti-Catholic and anti-foreign. Then on the West Coast, there was the Working Men's Party, who hated Asians. Thankfully, not everybody was like this, and some people actually cared for the immigrants. These people were reformers, and they tried their best to help the immigrants. A lot of them took pictures showing the living conditions, others helped with schooling, and some people built houses and helped clean up the streets and passed laws about how many people can be living together. They did a lot, but sometimes the big bosses would try to silence them and stop them so they could get more money. All this was the impact of mass immigration to America in the 1800s. Some of it was good and some of it was bad, but thanks to reformers and other people, we mostly got things fixed.